long as I live. Yeah, maybe I can't give you diamonds and things like I want to, but I can promise you, baby, I'm gonna want you as long as I live. Well, I never cared, but now I'm scared I won't live long enough. That's why I wear my rubbers when it rains and eat an apple every day, then see the doctor anyway. What if I can't live to love you as long as I want to? Long as I promise you, baby, I'm gonna love you as long as I live.
Well, greetings, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight. This is the second artist talk we've done here at Pangea. My name is Wendell Walker, and I'm, in addition to being director of art exhibitions here at Pangea, I'm also a regular customer here. I live nearby and have a long history at Pangea, and love the space and the events that happen in here. And we're really excited to be adding artist talks to the list of programs that Pangea is doing. Most of the programs here are music, but this one, we'll see. It's all about talking and learning more about the artists and the art. Wendy Stewart, who is co-host of a YouTube channel called If These Walls Could Talk, is broadcast from here weekly. She's normally the person that would be sitting in this chair. She had a conflict tonight, so I'm sort of filling in for her. This is not my forte doing this, so I apologize in advance to my fellow artist here. We do have the curator of Our Mothers with us, Angela Fremont. Angela, would you like to come up and say a few words about the exhibition?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming this evening to hear Bob and Ellen talk about their work and their process and their pieces here in the show. I had the idea for curating a show called Our Mothers last August, and it takes a long time to put together a show, and I had the idea because first of all, because we all have moms, and also because the idea of motherhood and the ancestral understanding of mothers and the universality of the spiritual life of mothers, and also that being a mother, and also the suffering, I guess, of what has happened in the world to women and children. And that was happening last year, and it was happening also, and has happened for millennia, to women and children. And I wanted to see what would happen if I invited artists to respond to a query of making a piece of art in response to a challenge of our mothers. What would you make if I asked you to make a piece of art about our mothers? Would it be about your mom, or would it be about something else? And so that's when I talked to Wendell, and knowing that Wendell had this space in mind, and that's how we chose it out. So, and thank you, Wendell, for responding.
I was going to say a million details between here and there.
Yes, so much.
It's surprising how
yes.
many logistical issues have to be
Yes.
with this. But
So
yes,
thank you
it's
for
a
asking
pleasure.
me to explain how the show happened. Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And of course, Angela's also in the exhibition. There's two works here.
Yeah.
And she'll be part of the artist talk happening on July 7th here. So she'll be on the stage here. I'm very pleased tonight to be joined by two artists included in Our Mothers, Coleman Izzo and Bob Rivera. Ellen's work, Susan's childhood home, is to my left, right over here. And Bob's work, Needlework Girl, is in the center of the wall over here.
Oh no, that's not right.
Sorry?
That's not right.
It's not?
It's Raquel's ribbon.
It's Raquel's ribbon. It's
Oh,
this
I'm
piece
sorry.
here.
Yes, I just said the wrong title. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Case in point, my experience here. But both of you have very interesting backgrounds as artists, and I wanted to explore that and talk about your role in Our Mothers, but also about your work in general. Starting with you, Ellen, you have a very interesting background going back to the early 1980s. And in that trajectory, your work includes extensive work in printmaking and in education. And I found that very interesting, the combination. And I wonder if you'd like to talk to us a little bit about that and just tell us a little, a brief history of your background and your and how you've combined those two things.
Brief?
Well, brief, or you
There we
don't have to be too brief.
Cut me off when
an
I'm
hour
not
or
brief
so.
enough. Well, actually, I didn't start in printmaking until I went to college and had to take a printmaking course. I was going to be a painter. I walked into this shop and was awed. There was no turning around. That was it. I was going to be a printmaker. I think part of it was because all the machinery, the presses, all of this stuff reminded me terribly of my dad, who loves tinkering with cars or anything, but I think that had a lot to do with it. And I don't know, my work has evolved from college, of course, and the thinking of, in college they hated monoprint. Like monoprint wasn't considered printing. I thought that was pretty lame. So as soon as I graduated, I started making monoprints. Because editioning to me wasn't really what I wanted to do. What I do now is work a lot in collograph. It's become a big medium for me. And to see there's so many, like she's a collograph.
Right.
The house is a collograph. Because they're cut away from the traditional rectangle that you would normally have in a print or a painting, I can move them into different scenarios. And that's been something that I've been exploring a whole lot. Different materials and printing on different things. Like I've been printing a lot on fabric lately.
And you've also been proprietor of Print Space since 2016.
It's me.
Yes.
Mhm.
And before that, your role with the New York Art Residency and Studio Foundation in Brooklyn. I found that very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was my first real studio. I was a member of the Lower East Side print shop for a very long time as a key holder. They were changing their program when they kind of no longer were in the Lower East Side and moved up to the Garment District, is where they are now. And so they kind of shifted their programs around, and I found myself needing a studio. So I found a studio in Industry City, which wasn't Industry City as we know it now, if you know Industry City now. It was not fancy then, which is why I could afford it, but then when it got fancy, I needed a new place.
Right.
And I love what I have now in print space because it's a storefront. It's extremely accessible. I just had somebody coming in yesterday, this lovely young woman from India, and we talked for like an hour about life and prints.
And prints, yes. And how prints are important in life, right?
But in Industry City, it was with
Yeah.
NARS. That was the person I paid rent to.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of programming, and they still do. They also had to move out of Industry City, or are now in the area, but not quite there.
Right. So what happens in print space? What you're working there, but you also have artists coming in, right?
Oh, I do. Actually, there will be 2 tomorrow. One is a little, like, close to my age, and the other one is 9. So it's not at the same time. But it's nice to have an array. It's great working with other people because it keeps you fresh and
Yeah.
makes you problem solve in ways it's other people's problems, but it's also your problem. Like
Right.
they're trying something that perhaps I have never even thought of trying. So it makes your repertoire that much bigger.
Right.
And I enjoy that. And part of that may be because I can't say that I am sad that I'm a retired elementary school art teacher. Angela, can you? But I learned so much from doing that.
Yeah,
And I was there 22 years with that. And it did teach me an awful lot about art and getting along well with others. So
And it's great.
yeah.
Good.
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Well, and Bob, you also have an extended background. Looking at your website, you go back to 1967, and been around a while longer than me. I thought I was the old one here.
Yeah, I'm the old one.
But I love your archive page, though. I love seeing the progression of your work, and I also love this one-piece carving walnut from 1967. I love that one piece in particular. That's a personal comment. But it was just interesting looking back. You've done a broad range of media. Also, you work on paper, but you also do very large sculptures.
I've done printmaking,
Yeah,
silkscreen printmaking.
right. Can you tell us a little bit about the process there, and what brings you to these different media, different forms of expression?
The process really started long ago when I was in art school, and because I used to be a commercial artist, and I was working in advertising, but I fell out of love with that for a variety of reasons. I went back to school and I started making sculptures, carving, and paintings. And so I've been making art for a little over 60 years. 56 of those has been primarily sculpture. And during the 70s, I did some silk screen printing, and recently I've been mainly working on watercolors, acrylic paintings, and collages. So, yeah, it's been a broad range of experience, and it's interesting when Angela invited me to participate in this exhibition. This piece is really quite different from all the rest of my work, and I brought these 2 books if anybody wants to see. And so I really got involved in celebrating the life of my mother, because, as Angela said, motherhood and the role of mothers is a whole couple of different kinds of worlds, but the life of a mother, the life that she lived, and through all the different generations and different things, and I came to respect and honor my mother because of what she had been through. She was, as far as I'm concerned, one of the first women's liberation participants in the world. You know, she was a single mother and raised me and protected me and provided, and
Yeah.
so I went on and, you know, I always celebrated her and wanted to take care of her afterwards.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we have another connection that we just discovered with one another, the Studio Museum in Harlem, where you were artist in residence in the
Yes.
early 90s. And I was on staff there back in the 80s
Right.
and
So, yes.
consulting on and off. And you were in the opening exhibition of artist in residence, right?
Yes. 33 years ago, they expanded their artist in residence horizons and included this Latino. And so it was a great experience for me. I also had a studio at the time in Brooklyn. I was working on a large commission as well for the South Bronx on the gymnasium roof. But I loved being an artist in residence there. I made about 15 or 16 sculptures, and I got to meet a whole bunch of wonderful other artists and people. And so, yeah.
We actually have one other former artist in residence somewhere in the audience here, Leon Waller. You guys can talk later.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, it's a unique program, and I think it's very interesting because you have a connection with you're in the studio with two other artists, and I know there's struggles in that, but there's also a lot that comes out of that, right? The whole process and just connecting with them,
Well,
talking
yes.
about your work.
Also, I got to experience how different artists handle materials differently, their
Yeah.
conceptual approaches, and I got to meet some interesting people. One of the things that was also interesting is that, recently I was involved in their exhibition celebrating all their artists in residence
Right.
this past autumn and winter. And so that was really good. And
they have, if you haven't seen this, it's a fantastic video of this, a walk through that exhibit.
yes.
When the curator talks about some of the artists and the history of the program, I just saw that. I was prepping to talk to you guys.
Okay.
Stumbled across it. It's really good.
Okay.
It's all good and interesting. Let's just shift back now to a little bit to what we have here in the room. You have a page on your website about the work that you did, that you contributed to this exhibition, and I found that really interesting. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And it's part of a series, right? The Homeless Memorial, yes.
So when Angela asked me, which I'm very grateful that she did, about making or choosing a work that I have, she also kind of prefaced it by saying, you do so much work with the homeless. We have, and I don't know if it's you, I forgot who you said was very interested in the cause of homelessness. I don't think it was Wendell. Anyway.
I mean, I am, but.
Well, maybe it was you. So I immediately thought of Suzanne, who she's part of the character. She's based on an actual person whose name is not Suzanne, but she was a mother to 2 boys that my kids went to school with, but she really suffered from addiction and mental illness, but tried to be the best mother she could for them. She was with them, but anyway, that's what Suzanne is based on, is this actual person. But the whole page is about taking a trip to Washington, D.C. back in, I'm going to say 2006, it might be 2008, but back in those days. And we were on a family trip, but we took a trolley tour around the monuments and memorials of Washington. And nobody else in my family saw the homeless population that I saw there, which I thought, well, where were your eyes? They're looking at the memorials, but in between these places, there were encampments and all of this. And I just thought, this is insane. Here we are, look where we are, and this is crazy. On our drive back, I just had this idea, okay, one of the reasons I'm not from New York, but one of the reasons I never ever wanted to move here was because I didn't know what to do about homelessness. It really bothered me when I first came down thinking, do I want to live here? No, it's like I don't know what to do or how to help, and you feel stupid and helpless, and well, let me just close my eyes and ignore it. But on the drive back, I figured, okay, I'm going to reenact all the stops on the trolley tour, and put a homeless person on each spot. So you ended up with 11 people. So Suzanne is one of them, and it goes to all the monuments, memorials that, well, all the ones that count right now. Sorry. Yeah, well, that one's not done yet. Yeah, I'm not sure what else. I got myself lost.
Yeah, just about going around and making that happen,
And
right?
sing, yeah, so, and then it was a very long process of doing it, and as I was doing it, it's like making these people, and they're all calligraphs. So making a drawing and then making the plate from them, and it's really out of file folders. So everything in this series was out of old things. So she's on a map. It is an old map at this point, but the monuments themselves are out of old refrigerator boxes. That's the substrate, I guess you would call it, for them. So there'd be collage, crayon rubbing, and prints within that.
Right.
So it's like that was my canvas, and yeah, it was interesting to do.
Yeah.
But then I would make the final piece was called the Homeless Memorial, and that is a sculptural. What I figure now is like it's a prototype because I think it ought to be bigger, but I'm in a little place. It's kind of small now, but it's really this structure that's on wheels with all of, and it's got the skeleton frame of a house.
Right.
So I went to Home Depot and bought all this stuff. That's the only stuff I bought. And so all of the people from all of the clan, I almost want to say, they are in that. They were printed on aluminum, and what I wanted to do eventually was take them outside and bring them around neighborhoods and say, hey, where could this live? And unfortunately, that has not happened so much because I took it out, so it was in Industry City at the time, took it down the freight elevator, out the door, up 2nd Avenue, and the wind was insane. And it's like, oh no, they're all gonna go away. So I haven't figured out how to print them again.
They did go
Something
away.
that they did not go away. I still have them. It's like, oh, we didn't stay outside too long. It's not very, I don't know. I will figure that out. And, because I think that's kind of an important piece to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it feels unfinished. They don't do that.
Well, and it's interesting because each of you are using collage in your work. So your work is very unique in your overall body of work. We talked about this a little earlier this year. But it is interesting to me that out of the exhibition, you two are the collage artists in a way. I found that very interesting. Collage I've always been interested in. I did an exhibition once many years back at NYU at the Gray Art Gallery, where I was manager for many years. I managed the NYU collection, and I did a show of collage works from the collection, assemblage pieces in collage, and it was really interesting. Just putting them together, there were some big names in there and lesser names, but it was really interesting to see how the work is transformed when people bring 3D into it or bring other elements in. And I don't know if you guys had any thoughts about that. I mean, my thinking is it does bring something. Having that, the way you did that on the map, we all know that map, right? So there's a whole context of stuff that comes into it just from that, having that there. And similar with your work, with the documents, and there's a lot. There's many layers of personal information for you, but a lot of layers that come out of that, right?
Right, and I also use the materials as a language.
Yeah.
So not only did I work with the doily material, but the ribbons, and in my other work I work with sand, beads, all kinds of plastics and leather, suede, and I just try to convey in a language a celebration and hopefully a harmony combined with the tension that involves life.
So just in the process with this, like, I mean, did the map come later, or did you? And like with you, I mean, did you think this through? Did you have these pieces and then decide how to put them together, or did the piece tell you what documents you needed to put into it? You know what I'm asking there?
Yeah, my answer, you're not gonna like, really, though.
Go ahead.
I needed something smaller than the pillowcase that I originally got. And I said, oh, that'll work, this'll work, because I did make something and then just, I think it's a little too big. And it's like, okay, it's just a print and make something else. And so the map seemed to make a lot of sense. Plus, I love maps. I got a lot of maps,
yeah.
and this one was pretty whole. And I figured, well, that's going to set a place.
Yeah.
So then she came into that, and then I have all of these houses to choose from. So I chose the house. It kind of none of it's true, but it could be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not really. I don't think that she grew up in. I think it's her own Bayside. I don't really know.
Right.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful idea, and you. I mean, we all know that map, you know. So
And the brownstones.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
we all have our own messages for that map, and that brings we take our own personal experience into it. It brings a whole package of that with it. Sort of, I'm saying it the right way, and similar with yours.
Well, interestingly enough, all of that is true. It's her life and what she went through. It's the documents, of being born and being married, and it's just a ribbon that expresses it. In the beginning, I asked Angela. I said, "Angela, what's my size limit?" She said, "That's the size limit." Okay.
So Angela should get some kind of co-credit for what each of your works here.
Push the buttons.
But this is very different than what you usually do, right? And
really different.
But I mean, it is. But you're talking about for media is, and so in one way, it's not that different. I mean, it's because you're always playing with different things, right?
I do play with different things, and I use printed matter in my collages.
Right.
Occasionally illustrations and photographs. But by and large, throughout the years, like the sculptures have been, in the ones that are in public and private collections, were a whole process of my learning, and then also, I had to hire a whole bunch of people to help me make these things, and it was, an interesting process that I went through learning. You betcha.
Well, in a very different process, I was looking at your recent work for Hellstrauss Community College in the Bronx. That was fairly recent. Sculpture.
Those large pieces.
So very different than doing this. Right?
Very different, very different. And they ended up in the College of Staten Island, and they look good out there. But it's interesting that you need high security to go and see them. But I'm glad that they're on the website and people can see them. And, so good.
So that's a very different process for you, I'm sure. The whole thought process,
really different.
The conceptual part of it, the logistics of it, all that have to play into it.
Well,
right?
it becomes a business.
Right.
Where I have to get insurance, hire people, direct people, know the materials,
right.
Come within budgets, and it was very, very gratifying, and the end product was very satisfying.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to do that, and I've also had experiences in teaching and lecturing, and so I really enjoy it.
Are they outdoors?
Excuse me?
Are they outdoors?
A lot of them are outdoors, yeah, both in the public and the private collections. There's
You guys have
indoors too, little ones.
You guys have questions for one another?
That's
It just occurred to me you might ask that.
Well, I'm curious, Ellen, because at one time I was with a group and we went on and we fed the homeless, especially on holidays. And the thing that hurt me the most was to hand out ladles of food to homeless people who were families with little children. And it woke me up to the horror of it. the importance of trying to rid this world of homeless people.
And world, it's like
Yeah, the world,
anywhere you travel,
truly.
pretty much anywhere you travel. See,
Yes.
So I'd like to know a little bit more about print space. And just you told us the basics of it, but can you
yes, I
elaborate a little
do
bit more on
that. So,
what all you do there? And
aside from entertainment,
yeah, no, because I think part of it
I
is
have-
connecting with people,
it
right?
is,
But
it's
that-
very important because when I graduated from college, I went to New Paltz. When I graduated and then no longer had a press, it was very nice that one of the people who was, I think she was 2 years ahead of me in school, but she lived in the area and her parents lived in the area, so she lived in the area. She had a garage with a car that was no longer in the garage, but a press was. So she invited me to come over and just share the press. It's like, wow, that was, it just felt very good. And how long would I be able to do that? Like, I'm moving. But I feel when I acquired my press, which came as a total surprise, it's like, oh yeah, let me buy that from you, okay. And it's like trying to get it available for other people to use. I think that's very important because not everybody can have one, and it's just nice to have it and share it. So in print space, I have the first Fridays of every month. Sometimes I have a faux first Friday because I'm busy on the first Friday. But for very cheap, and you get snacks, you get great people to work around, and it's always different every month. You come in and do, we just did one, like you come in and work with one material, and everybody's got their own way to work with it, but it's very funny how this little space, and it is pretty little, can hold so many people that are all trying to print, but they figure it out. I mean, that's one of the fun things too, and it's just nice. They're not all from, it's in Bay Ridge and kind of Sunset Border, but it's just nice to see how people interact, and they're not all people who've ever printed before. So you make things that are accessible enough for people to come in and do. And
Are you teaching as part of it, or is that?
It's just a little quick little demo, like our 10-minute thing, right? The mini lesson.
But basically, people come in
And then
they
people help each other out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really a communal
Mhm.
project.
It's very, it's great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's great. Does anybody in the audience have any questions you'd like to bring up at this point? Angela, yes.
I actually have a couple of questions. The first one is, well, it's more of an observation that both of you have mentioned your work as collaborations. And I wonder how that has impacted you as an artist. How collaborations and collaborating with other people has impacted you creatively as an artist.
That's a hard question, right?
That's a tough one because I know when I was at the Studio Museum, I worked alongside Mary Ward. He was an interesting artist, and he woke me up to a certain way of thinking about how I could start a piece and the whole use of materials as an end, not a beginning or a journey, but the end. It was the materials, and it was so that was interesting. The other collaboration experience that I've had, well, besides teaching can be collaborative, and printmaking, as I learned when I did silk screening and taught silk screening to kids in the neighborhood, but also doing large commissions. I don't know if it was collaborating as it was simply working with other people towards this end, towards this entity that you were all trying to get done collectively in unison by a certain deadline under a certain budget. And everybody was learning. We had to learn how to use tools and grind and deal with crane operators and truck drivers and the whole bit. So anyway, I mean, that was my experience collaboratively, as opposed to knowing and working with a lot of other artists. Although I have known and worked with a whole bunch of them, in the 60 years, I've been doing this.
It's interesting, that process is very different than, for example, creating that work that's involved there.
Oh, yes.
You've got a whole team with you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you've got your vision, but sometimes your vision has to have compromises in it, right?
Yes.
Because there's just, like you mentioned, budget, one of my favorite topics.
Right.
Putting an exhibition together, just like always that budget thing in the background. But that's a whole different package of stuff that you've got to deal with.
Yeah, when you have to deal with
in
other
the creative
people
process.
yeah.
And that's a little different for
I've
you.
never had that experience, although I have tried to have that experience. I just never got the grant.
But you still have you have your shop, right?
Oh.
Which is a different context.
Well, and
It's-
so is the work. So I told you about having to leave Industry City. Well, before I did, and the homeless project just was finished there. And when I realized I had to leave, it's like, oh, poor me, I'm gonna be. But then I just wake up. People that are living around there, they're gonna be losing their houses. I'm losing this studio. It's good. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So why don't I do a project with people wherever I can, and they can make and celebrate their homes. And they make holograph plates, which is very simple. We can do that, and you can do it here if you want. So they would make them, print up a whole bunch of them, and if they would like to leave me with their plate, because quite honestly, I don't know that they would be able to print it again. You don't need the press for it either. That they would leave them with me, and then I would create different neighborhoods and different worlds with them. So in that way, that's my collaboration.
That's great.
And then try to share with them, hey, look, it's over here. But so I have so many houses and so many things. I had a grant. Sorry, now it's 2 years ago. To go into 6 different venues and do the same kind of project, but it was more about how the BQE and Gowanus has really separated the neighborhoods, and it's a big thing now that they're trying to make traffic calming and all of this, and it's just they're not doing anything. They're dragging their heels, and it really affects the neighborhoods. So people have been making their plates different things. You can make somebody made a firebox. Somebody made a person who's a tree. Did you know that there are volunteer tree pruners in the city?
Yes.
Oh, are you one?
No,
Can you
I'm
come to
not.
my house?
Support them, that's great. Yeah.
But so there's all of these wonderful things, and I just started, and that's why I started printing on fabrics. I'm printing them on like huge draperies and curtains, tablecloths, pillowcases, sheets. What else is there? That's good.
But it's sort of like your logistics become your art.
Oh, and then I put the Gowanus in.
Yeah. But you might call that part of it, right?
Yes.
That's all part of what you're doing. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's part of what you're doing, not by your choice necessarily.
What do you mean?
The logistics, all the working with the different contractors.
Oh.
Yeah, just
Yes.
But I'm sure there's a way to find your way through that, right?
Well,
You-
the
you
other
keeping the
thing is
integrity of the
that
work.
I feel very fortunate in having been able to work in all these different mediums. I've done painting, collage work. I was a welder for a while. I'm a carpenter. I've built things out of wood, metal, plastic, you name it. And it's just been a real gratifying way of life for me anyway, because I like to work with my hands.
Yeah.
And as I said before, the language of materials ends up being just a whole other wonderful world in terms of communicating and affecting, a visual. But like what you said, Angela, like conceptually, I conceptually I really do want to keep celebrating life and the quality of life and beauty of life, because I know that I do respect other artists who work politically, you know, and anyway, it's a big, wide, wonderful world.
Yes.
So I just want to comment that working with the problem of logistics and contractors and things, in an artist like Christo, that's a big part of the piece itself.
Yeah.
It's not just the thing that leads to it. And my other comment would be that I think all art is a collaboration between the artist and the person who experiences it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
It doesn't
Duchamp
exist
said that.
otherwise.
Duchamp said that about the maker and the viewer. You know, it's two different antennas.
I think you had another question.
I
Yes.
do have another question. Okay, first of all, you both happen to be incredible educators. And that is really remarkable. And it's an outcome of you being excellent artists. And I am wondering, when did you know you were going to be artists? And what sort of obstacles did you have to overcome to become the artist that you are today? Okay. Unpack that one.
It's a big, there are a few questions, right?
Yeah.
The one I remember the most. Obstacles to overcome. Oh, when did you know you were going to be an artist? Well, I always loved drawing and all of that, but to be an artist, it's like I didn't know what else to do when I was in high school. It's like this is what I love, and I love writing as well. Reading not as much as writing, but you have to do both in order to be good. Anyway, applying to colleges and my parents letting me go to an art school. What they didn't want me to go to was to RIT, to just be an artist. They wanted a liberal arts education and all that stuff. That was all fine because I didn't have the money to go there anyway. But quite honestly, something that has probably kept me into it for so long is I can't let my mother down. My mother passed away in my freshman year of college, and it was traumatic. Of course it was traumatic. It was, I was 18, she was 47, it's crazy. And if I didn't continue being an artist, then it would have been a big letdown, that's what I feel like. So that's kept me trying to do me.
Why is that?
Because I feel like she sacrificed a lot, and when I came home at Christmas time, because you had to, because they closed the doors on you, I wanted to stay home because I saw how sick she was, and they wouldn't let me stay home and take care of my sisters. They said, no, you have to go back, And it's like, it was so hard, and then 2 months later she was gone. And you don't give it up then. That's what it seemed like. So, a little sad, but now I am making a Gigunda woodcut. I was telling my friend Charlotte on the way here. It's of my mother. It will be done sometime in October because I have to print it in Troy, New York, with a wonderful man, Lyle Castonguay, who does big ink press. He travels around the country. I did it last year with him. I went to Nashville and printed a big print. It's my second woodcut, so now this will be my third woodcut. But it's we lived on the banks of the Erie Canal, and after my mom had had a mastectomy, it wasn't right after, I will say, it was probably like maybe a month or two after, but we had a blue heron that would fly by at dusk, and this is what my mom would do, she just flew with the blue heron down, she just ran, and that's going to be my print. So, there. They're tributes, art's a tribute too.
Yeah, Ellen, you're right. It's a journey. It's a long journey to become an artist and to remain an artist. And it's a bunch of commitments that you make. In my case, I drew horses and airplanes and tanks and everything when I was a little boy. And then in junior high school, with Frankie Lyman and the teenagers, I found out that there was this music and art high school, which then became LaGuardia. I went there, and then after I got out of there, I got into commercial art. I was in advertising, wore a suit every day. And I didn't want to do that anymore. My father says to me, no, you should be a commercial artist. You become another artist, you won't make any money. Anyway, to make a long story short, I went to art school and I kept doing it. And it is a life's journey. And you just keep doing it because it's not just the way of life, but it's a commitment to an ideal about life. I mean, we're one of the only creatures on the planet that do this, unless we teach monkeys how to do it. But and we're the only ones that look at it, and talk about it, and write about it, and bullshit about it. And
spend a lot of money on it.
And spend a lot of money on it. Oh boy. Or, and in my case, I'll give it away because some people like it, and what am I going to do? Back up the dumpster in the end? So it is a journey. And it's a journey going through life and knowing different people. And like you mentioned, the teaching. I enjoyed the teaching, and I enjoyed it a lot also when I was able to do it bilingually. Teaching in centers and in Latino neighborhoods, it was fun. So it's a big long journey.
I think there were a couple more parts to your question, right? Did they answer?
I
think so. Well, my other question is what you think about the exhibition that Angela put together. An awkward thing to say in front of her, but no, just are there any other pieces that strike you? And I'm just you probably know some of the other artists in the exhibition, but just wonder if you had any thoughts about it or questions.
Quite honestly, I didn't personally know anybody else in it, but I knew some names.
Right.
And thought, that's who that is. So it was very nice to meet people. And just the variety of what can happen with a theme. And being able, these are all very heartfelt, it's not just.
Yeah, I know 2 or 3 of the other artists, and I was also impressed by the variety of the exhibition and how different artists accented different ways of their attitude towards mothers, whether it was a doll or a soup tureen,
Yeah.
Lots of remembrances.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, Angela.
I also was surprised at the as the work started to come in. I was very interested to see all the the variety of the work.
Yeah. Yes.
I have to say, it's a very trusting thing you did too. You trusted us to do something.
I am there. I will say something.
Yes.
Loudly.
I will say that I am very lucky to know very excellent artists. I have been alive a long time, and I have been a New Yorker for a long time, and I think it's a privilege to live in New York as an artist. And to live in New York as an artist in the 70s and 80s and 90s and aughts now, and to have matured as an artist during this time. And when I came here, I had never been to a museum. I have been lucky enough to get to know some very excellent artists. And so when I invited artists to make work about the theme of mothers, I never once worried about what I would get. Never once about what I would see. I was so excited to think, what would happen? I couldn't wait to see what you would make. I couldn't wait to see what Bob would come up with. And I knew Jody had just been in Venice, and I knew that she would produce some work that had come out of Venice. And I knew Sana had, that her work was so important about her experiences from her mother as a domestic worker. And of course, I just knew that there would be important and work that we would all be so privileged to see. That we'd all be so privileged to see. So I'm very grateful that Wendell and Stephen and Arnaldo have given us the opportunity to see this work here at Pangea. I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say something. I've been a curator once, and it's a lot of work. So I want to thank you, Angela, because you worked with 12 artists, plus there's a poem up there. And it's a lot of work. I curated a show for the YWCA, and it was a ceramic show, so I had to go to all these different studios, and it's interesting. It's a lot of work. So.
And that's a whole other question to ask you about. That's interesting itself, just how that connected to your work.
Oh,
Curating. I mean, because I'm sure that as an artist, I assume you had not done too much curating in the past.
No, I only did that once, but I realized how much work was involved.
Yeah.
Because I had to write the catalog, and, go to the different studios, and I had to select the work. I mean, I worked with another person, and she was great.
Yeah.
So, but it's a lot of work, and I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you. Here. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Bob, your piece is the other piece that's shaped. It's sculptural, like you're a sculpture. It's the background is a lace tablecloth. And there's an intimacy that's kind of aware of. And then you have multiple images. Below the images are many documents. And the images go on top of the documents. What's the relationship between the specific images, the documents, the tabletop, the shape of the frame, and the title of the genus?
The shape started as a conceptual ribbon, and I didn't need to see making a rectangle as as the artwork. I just thought about the ribbon and that whole doily, that lace, and the documents are really about her life, and go with the photographs because they start from the top when she was a youngster and at the bottom when towards the end of her life. And anyway, it was just interesting. My grandmother's in there. I'm in there. A couple of her fellow workers. So it's just really a story, a pictorial story, which is a ribbon. And
And the documents you selected,
the documents are selected. I selected her birth certificate, marriage certificate, social security card, and her death certificate. And that's the story.
I remember having immediate security concerns with those documents in there first. I think somebody expressed concern about that. And we thought, no, it's okay. We'll get away with it.
Well, the social security card is it's enlarged. And it's not, you don't see all the numbers. And the death certificate is just a death certificate. And a birth and
Any other questions? Yes.
I had a question for Angela.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the artists, it sounded like you picked all your artists and said, "Give me something on Mother," or was it an open call? How did you?
Oh yes, I invited the artists.
That's a really wonderful way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just emailed them and said, "Would you do something on this theme?"
Many years ago, I applied to a show on cats, right? And of course, 90% of the people got rejected. And I wrote to them and I said, "You might want to think about this differently."
Yeah.
Right? Because this is such a personal subject. And
Yeah.
so the way you did it is the way I would have done the death thing.
Yeah, it's rejection is painful.
Especially when it's like so really close to your heart.
Yeah, especially. I mean, it's just awful being an artist and constantly getting these rejections. I mean, I think this is really one of the reasons that I did this show is that I'm just so not so happy getting rejected from so many things. So I wanted to do something about that.
Any other questions?
And you did.
Rejection is a big part of the artist's life.
Yes. Rejection.
Oh, I have a question for Ellen.
Sorry,
Ellen, are you a member of BWAC by any chance?
I am not.
Because
I know.
we're still going. Just to tell you,
Yes.
the member show, the deadline's in a couple days. This summer is basically about Brooklyn landscape, and I thought your work about the neighborhoods would fit in really beautifully, and we have this humongous space so that they're big fabric works they could be hung in the middle of it. And a member show, everybody's going to get at least one piece in.
Thank you.
So true.
Well, think about it.
Are I know that they have work in Powerhouse now.
Yeah. Speaking of rejection, the Powerhouse show was curated by one of their people, right?
Yeah.
And we had 1,700 pieces submitted, almost 500 artists, and he only picked 50 pieces. So there were like 40-something artists. So people were writing me and going, what? It's like, don't feel bad. We all got rejected.
It's not usual for BWAC to do that. So
because BWAC, we had such big space in BWAC. When I curated there, you could just like take whatever you wanted. You had to beg people to bring stuff in, fill up the space.
What is BWAC?
Brooklyn Waterfront Artists Coalition. We just lost our 25,000 square foot gallery to a fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which we had for like 40 years.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
But Coleman's still in the market, still looking for something, right? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, the open call for the member shows goes till, I think, the 15th or something.
I mean, to show, for
Uh-huh.
showing it, where would you show?
Oh, that show's
Yes,
gonna be
Rivera,
at, in the Whale Building.
Okay,
Yeah, if people keep giving us spaces out of kindness since we lost our space. So, and it's a really big space. But think about it, it's,
Any other questions or comments or anything? See if I can see if I'm seeing everybody.
oh, I have a comment.
Oh,
I've
yes.
got a book.
all right.
Yes.
So those big pieces, it's not a good book at all, but
Not the way to sell it.
I couldn't photograph
You'll
things.
get one copy.
I could, but that's the book. So if you wanted to see the Washington, the homeless memorial thing,
Oh,
it's
great.
in this book.
Thank you, that's great. They're on the table for
Is it-
everybody to look through.
Is it like a catalog of all the work?
Well, I guess you could say that. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't like, it's just, I photographed it and put it together in blurb. So, I did what I could.
Well, I want to thank you guys, Ellen and Bob, for joining us today to learn more about your art and your life. I want you guys to thank you all for making all this happen.
Yes.
Also, want to thank Pangea, the other Stephen and Ronaldo. I think Stephen might be out there somewhere. Ronaldo's not here tonight. They've been fantastic to allow all this to happen in their space here. And then there's the team, Merrick and Luca, who've been
Yes.
serving you all.
Yes.
Fantastic, my buddies. I don't know how I get through life without them. I live right around the corner, so this is part of my life here. You can check out our artist talks on YouTube. The first one we did, which was 2 weeks ago, is on YouTube now. If you
It
Vimeo.
was wonderful.
sorry,
Isn't it on Vimeo? It's on Vimeo?
yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
If you Google Pangea Artist Talk on YouTube, you'll find it. It's a little over an hour long talk, so everybody said, oh, it's so long, but it's an hour, right? We
It
could
was
talk.
wonderful.
Yeah. So this will also be online. Hopefully all the technical details worked out, so we'll have this online. It'll be a few days before we get it up, but we'll let everybody know. The next artist talk will be Wendy Stewart will be back hosting it, and it will be July 7th. Sorry, make sure I'm saying the right dates here. It will have Jody Culkin, Toto Feldman, and Juanita Alonso will be part of it. Sorry, that's the 30th, June 30th. Excuse me for getting that wrong. July 7th will be the last one that will involve Angela and Larry Dovins. Thank you all. I hope to see you again here. And great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.